Today I'm sharing several cards made with the Spellbinders Clear Stamp and Die of the Month Club for November of 2024 using this month's Color Palette Challenge. Welcome to my channel. This is Kendra and I'm so glad you're here. If you're not familiar with the monthly Color Palette Challenge, it's where you can create any kind of project using the colors in the color palette and you can enter for a chance to win a prize. These color palettes were created by Sarah Renee Clark, and she gave us permission to use them for our monthly challenge as part of Kendra's card challenges. The color palettes are available both digitally and in print form with the color cube. There are actually 2 cubes with 250 cards in each box. This is the card from color cube number 1, palette number 142. The front of the card has a photo where the inspiration for the colors came from, and then on the back it shows the names of the colors and lighter shades. And this is the color palette challenge for November of 2024. So for more information, please visit kendrascardchallenges.com and you can find out all about how to enter. Now I've pulled some cardstock from my stash that are close to these colors, and I have cut them into 1/2 inch by 8.5 inch strips, and I have 3 strips of each of the 5 colors. And I have a piece of 6 inch by 12 inch acetate. I removed the film and I'm gluing each of these strips to the acetate with the extra 2.5 inches hanging off the end. I'm leaving a little bit of space between each strip, and I continued to add the strips in the same order as what's on the color card all the way down. So this gives me a pretty large piece to work with. So next I trimmed this down to 5.5 by 4.25 inches so that this one piece will be the size of an A2 card base, and this will be for one of the cards. And with the piece that's left, my plan was to cut several circles using a 3-inch circle punch, but it's not a very good circle punch and it didn't cut all the way through. So I had to break out my nested circle dies instead. I was able to fit 3 on it, and I held it down with some low tack mint tape while I ran it through my die cutting machine. So now I have an A2 panel and 3 circles, and I have this embossing folder from the October 2024 Club of the Month called Checkered Argyle, and I'm using that with some white heavyweight cardstock, the same as what I'm using for my top folding card bases. And I've trimmed these embossed panels down to 4 by 5.25 inches. And while I was cutting, I noticed that some of the edges were being frayed, so I switched out the blade on my trimmer, and the new blade worked so much better. I glued 3 of these panels down to my card bases. I decided not to use the 4th panel on the card with the vertical stripes since you can't really see it and I didn't want to make the card too top heavy. But next I added foam tape to the backs of each of the strips on all of the pieces, and I ended up doing some of these off camera just to save time. Now for the sentiments for these cards, I'm using the Confetti Wishes Stamp and Die set, which is a wonderful set of sentiments that you can use for many different occasions. And what I love about this set is that the dies cut out each of the sentiments, making it quick and easy to make a bunch of cards. And I'm using my Misty stamping platform and a 1/2 sheet of white heavyweight cardstock along with Versafine Clair Nocturne ink that I plan to emboss. So before stamping, I'm taking my anti-static powder tool and rubbing it across the cardstock. Now this is a pigment ink that stays wet a little longer so that embossing powder can be applied on top. And what I love about this ink is that I can usually get a good impression with just one go, and that's exactly what happened here. I only had to press it once, even with these being new stamps, so that's pretty awesome. I applied some clear embossing powder on top, and then I let my heat gun heat up for about 30 seconds before applying it to melt the powder. And this is probably my favorite part, watching the powder melt. I just love that it raises the words on these sentiments. So the next step is to cut out all of the sentiments with the coordinating dies. So I did that using my die cutting machine. So now I just need to attach these sentiments to my cards. I'm starting with the one with the vertical stripes, and I used the sentiment that says, "May your birthday be as delightful as you." And I just glued it right in the center. And then I added some black rhinestones around the sentiment. And I continued adding sentiments to the other cards with the circles. I centered the largest circle and I used the sentiment best wishes for this card. And for the smaller circles, I offset the circles on the right hand side of the card bases. For this one, I used the sentiment that says hello. And I added a small piece of foam tape on the left edge since it's hanging off to make it level. But I like that the middle strip of this circle is black. It really makes this sentiment stand out. And then I did the same for the smallest circle, except this time I put the sentiment in the bottom left corner of the circle, again on the black strip. And I added a small black rhinestone on the acetate piece. With the scrap piece that I cut the circles from, I was able to punch out a couple of tags. Now, this punch actually worked. It's a much better quality than the other one I tried to use. But it just so happened that the strips lined up exactly with each other. So I was able to glue these two together. And I used the to and from sentiments, and I glued those down, and I punched a hole in the top of this tag with my crocodile. And I cut a short piece of twine to run through the hole. This is just a quick tag created with the scraps. I like to use all of my scraps if I'm able to. Now for the last card, I'm using a top folding card base. I measured over 1.25 inches from the bottom corner edge, and then I turned it to cut from that mark to the top corner where it folds. And I'm taking the 2.5-inch wide strip that I cut off earlier that's being held together by basically 1/2 inch of acetate, and I'm cutting it to measure 5.5 inches. The acetate strip will go on the left to help reinforce the card, and I'm gluing the strips on the right hand side to the angled part of the card. And then for the other piece, I'm going to be gluing this on the top part of the card base at an angle. So I flipped it over and I marked it with a pencil where I would know where to add my glue so that I could line it up again. Now, while I'm doing this, let me explain about the Spellbinders Clear Stamp and Die Club of the Month. It is shipped monthly, and the sign-up window is between the 6th and the 27th of each month. Your first kit will charge immediately, and then on the 5th of each month. Kits will ship by the end of the month, and you can cancel at any time. So if you're interested in signing up for this kit, I will have it linked down in the description box below. And if you don't want to sign up for a monthly kit, you can purchase the products the following month. But what's great about being a club member is that you get free shipping. Now, because of the glue showing on the back side of the acetate when you open the card, I cut off the strips from what was cut off of the angled strip to cover that up. And I had to cut them apart because they weren't spaced exactly right. So that's why you see me cutting some of these. But luckily, this piece here was able to line up perfectly. But this is basically just to cover up the glue and also still give it that see-through look. I didn't want to add like solid cardstock. So for the sentiments, I used 2. Happy birthday, I used across the middle. And then I used another sentiment in the top right corner that says, may your year be sprinkled with magic. I used some confetti sequins in colors similar to the cardstock in 3 different sizes next to some of the colored pieces. And I just love how this turned out. You'll have to write your message on the top right corner on the inside so that you can't see it from the front. But I love that you can see through half of this card. It's really unique. And as I was making this, I didn't have it planned. It just kind of came together as I was trying to figure out what to do with the leftover pieces. But I really don't make a whole lot of clean and simple cards, but I really like how all of these turned out. These colors are beautiful together, and I think these cards could be used for just about anybody, including men. And I even got a little tag out of it too. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if so, I hope you'll give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment to let me know you stopped by. And I'd love to know which card is your favorite. If you're not already a subscriber to my channel, I'd love it if you would click on that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of my uploads. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.